Are you totally confused with all the jargon related to neurodiversity and specific learning difficulties and neurodevelopmental disorder? Can't even say it properly, can you? But you're not alone. And this video is for you because today I'm going to try and explain to you in the simplest possible way what all of that means. Hello, I'm Maria Pretorius and I'm a specialist dyslexia teacher and assessor. Within the range of neurodiversity, we find global and specific learning difficulties. Global learning difficulties would be where a person has got a global difficulty with learning overall and learning in various areas. Specific learning difficulties, on the other hand, means that only a very specific area is affected and causing difficulties with learning. Such examples could be dyslexia, which very specifically affects the acquisition and development of language. Then you've got dyscalculia, who mainly and specifically affects maths development. Then you've got developmental coordination disorder, or better known as dyspraxia, which are to do with motor control. Then you have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or better known as ADHD, which affects a person's ability to focus their attention on something specifically, directing their attention and acting on it. But more about these conditions in other videos. Sometimes these conditions can coexist with one another and a person may have an overlap of one or more of these conditions. It can also overlap with something like Autistic Spectrum condition, which is not a specific learning difficulty as such, but people with ASD or ASC can also present with specific learning difficulties. Then you may have also heard that people talk about a neurodevelopmental disorder or condition. What I prefer to say is that specific learning difficulties are neurodevelopmental in nature. Neurodevelopmental simply refers to the way that the nervous system develops, and particularly the brain. When somebody has a neurodevelopmental disorder or condition, it refers to having some difficulties at the time when the nervous system and the brain developed. Professor Chris Oliver from the University of Birmingham describes two models that can help us to shape our viewpoint on neurodiverse conditions. The first model is the medical model. In this model, specific learning difficulties are seen as disabilities, because there is a set normal way for people to be, and that people need to be fixed in order to fit into society. The second is the social model, which sees neurodevelopmental conditions as part of the natural range of human brains, and that it's not something that needs to be fixed. That it's only disabling because of the attitudes and the expectations of society. These differences are seen as a valuable contribution to society and to human, and it should be celebrated rather than cured. However, unfortunately, the current education system, and I think society as a whole, even though I do think it's come a long way from about 30 years ago, is still not catering for the full range of neurodiversity. And therefore, it is important to validate the fact that people can experience debilitating effects with the expectations that are placed on them in society. And if intervention is not put in place on time, unfortunately, those frustrations for some people can lead to mental health difficulties, or at the latest knock their confidence. But there is hope. The word neuroplasticity refers to the fact that our brains have got the ability to keep changing, to form new neurons, which would be described like little wires that connect, although they don't technically connect, but anyway, they form new pathways. And we can activate different ways to get information into our brains and to learn new skills all the time. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can constantly keep training your brain. And it's because of this wonderful fact and this wonderful organ called the brain that intervention programs can be so successful. But before we can put intervention in place, it is important to find out where that specific area of learning difficulty is. To find out what a person's, what we call a cognitive profile or their brain profile is like, where their strengths and their weaknesses lie. Because with that information, you can then develop an individual program to help people. We do that by a diagnostic assessment. An assessment is an invaluable tool for both the individual to understand that, you know, there's nothing wrong with them. They're not dumb. They actually have the ability to do something. But these are the areas that are having some difficulties. These are my strengths, so that you can help them to understand, well, you can use your strengths to compensate for these, or we can find different pathways through your strengths so that it becomes less of a barrier in future. So it hugely contributes to building a person's confidence or setting them up for learning. But assessments are also a great tool for tutors and teachers to understand how to individualize the support that they can give them. Now, I really feel that it's important for people to understand the social model of specific learning difficulties and actually see the valuable contribution that brain differences can make. But we can only do that if we raise awareness and if people learn and understand how these things work. So please do me a favor and share this video with your friends or your family or your colleagues so that we can get on that way of raising awareness. And please do subscribe to the channel as well so that you can be notified when more videos like this can come up. The more we learn about specific learning difficulties and neurodevelopmental conditions, the better understanding we will have and the better we can create a society that's actually celebrating the wide differences that were created for human society. Thank you so much and have a great day. Take care.